Welcome to the Kling Connection Travel Talks podcast, where travel isn't just a topic, it's a conversation. Hosted by Sean Kling, each episode takes you beyond the postcards and into the real highs, lows, and unforgettable moments from life on the road. You'll hear from fellow travelers, industry pros, and digital nomads who share their best tips, budget tricks, and stories that make you want to pack your bags right away. Whether you're a casual weekend explorer or living life out of a suitcase, Kling Connection brings the travel world to life, one incredible journey at a time.
Hey, Kling Connection fam. Well, guess what? We got a special treat for you. I have Mr. Mark Wolters from Wolters World. That's right, the world-renowned travel expert from YouTube. This is like a dream come true because we have been a fan of Mark for years. I watch all his stuff. He actually is somebody that influenced me on the vacations and trips we take, and also I get a lot of information from him. He has over 1 million subscribers on YouTube alone. He's on multiple social media platforms, and you guys are in for probably one of the best treats that the Kling Connection has ever had on their show. So without further ado, Mark, welcome to the channel.
Thank you very much. No pressure. No pressure at all. Good to be on here. Thanks for the invitation. I appreciate it.
Yeah, well, thank you for coming on, and you know, I just have so much questions for you and so much things I want to talk to you about. But let's start off with first is tell us a little bit about yourself and you know, who you are, where you're from.
So Mark Wolters. A lot of people think my name is Wolters because Wolters World, but it's Mark Wolters. I'm a professor at a university in the U.S. For my day job, but in my free time, I travel the world and make travel content, trying to help people travel better. So we like to show people the do's and don'ts of going places. We don't do the floppy hats and, ooh, look at me do stuff, because not a lot of people want to watch a chunky guy in a beard like do things, but it's definitely, I would call, we do travel education. So we help people travel better. So if you want to go someplace, and so you don't insult the culture, so you know what food to actually have when you're there, we try to do that to just help out anybody, whether you're a college kid going backpacking, or you're going on a cruise with your grandma, or you're just taking your family abroad or traveling locally. We like to help out any way we can. So we have lots of videos on YouTube and all the other social media platforms just to help people travel better.
So when you travel on these trips, is it just you, or do you take your family, or do you go with a group?
So, well, usually the only times I do groups, I'll occasionally take a group, but I'll take college students like once a year, once every other year. But usually it's the whole family. But the kids were little, like the kids have grown. People watch our channels. I remember there was a little baby. The little baby is now 14, and there's the little tiny kid that was crawling all over me at the very beginning. He's going off to college. We're actually taking him to college, you know, here in the next couple of weeks. And but usually it was the whole family going. At one time, I think it was probably 6 months, 7 months out of the year we were traveling,
Wow.
and then together. But then once the kids got to school, especially when the older one got to like geometry and algebra, I'm like, I can't teach. I can teach the other stuff, but I can't. When I get to the more complicated math, I'm like, I know this, but we'll just get into a fight. And so that was why we kind of toned it back. And also, like, you know, he wanted to use soccer, so we a little bit less. So now I would say I probably travel about 5 months out of the year, and my wife will go about 4 months out of the year, and we'll split it up. Sometimes it's just me, sometimes the whole family, sometimes my wife will go. So we kind of mix it up that way. But yeah, we travel not most of the year, but almost half the year where we're going. And we try to take the whole family whenever we can.
That's amazing. I mean, you're living the dream that most people, you know, really desire to live. And then you have this YouTube channel that is like, you know, I'm gonna you know, say something that I've never said, but it's like a global phenomenon. Like, you have people that literally from around the world reach out to you, and you influence this massive amount of people globally from just your educational stuff. And you can tell you're a good teacher because the stuff that you put on your YouTube channel is so influential. How did you get started? Did you just wake up one morning and say, like, I want to start a YouTube channel?
So there's a few things that all happen around the same time. I was doing my PhD in Portugal, and I had students, and where I was teaching, they're like, no, you have to teach in English. You have to speak the students English. You're not allowed to speak Portuguese with them. So it's very much, you know, but I knew not all the students, like the students were fluent, but not everyone was really great at English. So I want to make sure they do well in the exams. So I started doing like my business content, started making like basically study videos. You know, because I know students, they don't want to read the study guide. I'm like, hey, I'll put some videos together so you can watch this and be ready for your exam. So that was one, but that was going on. At the same time, my now wife, we were engaged and she was going to move to Portugal. She was moving to Portugal to live with me. And so I was making these videos for her to get her ready to, come to Portugal. So it's like learn Portuguese, but then showing off like place where where we're living. So like I was going to our local grocery store where she's going to shop and like, this is leite, which is milk. Yeah. And so I'm teaching her like the verbs and there's all this kind of stuff in places she knows. So I was doing that. And then, so I had like the business channel, I was doing some other stuff for a while. And then we started doing like, 10 things to see. We did language videos, all kinds of stuff. And then when it really took off, we made a video. It was like 5 things you love and hate about going to Germany and 5 things you love and hate about going to Portugal, because I just saw like, there was this kind of, not everyone tells you everything. Like everything's always roses. Like, oh, everything's perfect. Everywhere you go is fantastic. I'm like, yes, every place can be fantastic. It's kind of like when you see on Instagram or TikTok, they're like, oh, Instagram versus reality. And they're like, yeah, Instagram, that it's overly flushed, but they show reality, that shows the worst part, right? But I was like, wait, let's give people more of an honest opinion about things. So I made a couple of these videos and I wasn't sure what was going to go over because it's like 5 love and hates. Then people didn't watch like language videos. They didn't watch top 10 lists. They started watching that. And what I really learned is like people want really honest content. And so I was making some videos like this. And I remember I was in Italy and I went there and I bought this guidebook. Okay. It was like the AAA of Italy. It was their guidebook for the Veneto region. And I'm reading through it. It was in English because one of the students I could get, this is like 15, 16 years ago. And it was in English. I'm like, hey, this is what I can get. So I'm going to get it. I'm looking through it. They had the city. It sounded fantastic, amazing. And I have friends that live in this region. Like their family has been in this region for like, I don't know, 1,000 years. Okay. And so I'm like, hey, have you ever been to this place? They're like, no, we haven't. That should have been a red flag. And I read the book, like, oh, the palazzo's amazing. The museums, world class. Oh, and then you get the true European feel of the, market, on the market square. And I'm like, oh, cool. And my buddy's like, dude, this place sounds fantastic. Have we never gone? Mark, you go during the week. We'll go on the weekend when we get off work. So I go. The palazzo's closed for renovation. Museum doesn't have much there. And the square that's like, oh, to really feel the European markets, it's only a market on Saturday. The rest of the week, it's a parking lot, right? And I'm like, this isn't right. And I was thinking back to my friends who had like 10 days vacation. Maybe they could take one trip to Europe in their life. And I'm like, if you would have read this guidebook, you would have thought you needed to spend 2 or 3 days in this town. And I'm thinking about my friends, like, your one trip to Europe in your life, it's 10 days. You spend 3 days in this town because someone overinflated, like overhyped someplace. It's 30% of your one-time vacation is basically wasted. And I'm like, this isn't right. Because this is like my friends were talking about, they had no vacation at that time. They're like, I only get a one-time trip. I'm like, this isn't right. This isn't right. So I'm like, from that moment on, I'm like, no, I'm giving honest travel advice. I'm not fluffing stuff up. We'll work with companies, we'll work with brands, but only if we can be 100% honest, because that's our whole thing is I want to be honest about the travel side. And so that really kind of came through. And after that, it was like, no, everything we're doing is going to be 100% honest. We're not going to sell out. We're not going to, fluff it up. Like, look, you need to know the good and the bad. And I will say on the financial side of that has really impacted us in a bad way, because a lot of brands, they don't want to work with us because they're like, because I'm like, there's brands we use that we love. We tell people to buy. Like, oh, we see you love our stuff. We'd love you to do, a thing. I'm like, yeah, sure. They're like, but you got to make sure that you're do this. I'm like, yeah, this is true. This, but I mean, I'm not going to give you a commercial because a commercial is something else. I want to tell like a review. People trust reviews when they're honest, not a commercial. And a lot of brands like, no, you have to say the exact same. That's why you'll notice if you ever watch like a common ad on different YouTube channels and stuff, they all kind of say the exact same thing because they give them the same script. And like, that doesn't work. Like as a marketing professor, I can tell you that is the worst way to do, word of mouth marketing. It's just having people parrot what you want them to say. It's like, no, let them do it their own way. And that's one of those things. So we've worked with some brands over the years, but I mean, it has like, we have friends that make way more and with way smaller following, way less views because they're going to do those kind of things. So,
right. So you started off, you make this YouTube video. What was the one video that exploded you? Everybody, like ours was when our video that exploded us is when we went to London. And we just went to Old Town London, and I guess London was just happened to be trending before then. And we broke up the different parts of the UK. I say London, but we were, in the Cliffs of Dover and different areas. and that just really exploded. And that's what took our channel to the next level. What was your video or one that you put out?
It has to be the 5 Love and Hates of Germany. Like that was our first one, because now like people watch YouTube all the time. It is a form of entertainment. 15, 16 years ago when we started, YouTube was just like this weird like offshoot thing on the internet that not a lot of people watched. So we were having videos that getting like a couple hundred views. This one got like 10,000, 20,000, 100,000 views. I'm like, oh, okay, this is something here. Like that's when we realized, okay, that's where we always tell people look at the analytics. That's when the analytics really said people don't want to learn languages when they travel. They want to know what's the bad stuff so I don't make mistakes. I'm like, okay, and so we like kind of went from there. But that was the big one. That was the one that really like kicked things off.
That's what happened with us. Is more people were interested in some of the historical sites. They wanted to check out the historical sites, and I'm a big history geek, so
yeah,
anywhere that's historical that I can go. And Shayna carries, she's more of the eye candy than I am, so she carries herself a little different. I'm a goofball in it, and she's kind of serious. But it was that's definitely what launched us. And it's interesting that Europe is so popular. And with Europe being so popular, one of the concerns that is out there is over tourism and overcrowding. And I've seen that you've spoken a few times on your videos about different areas, about getting pictures or going places to eat and stuff. But if I'm a first-time traveler to Europe, what do you have to tell me about overcrowding, places to go, and how to avoid that type of stuff?
Okay, I will say there are times you really feel like you are overwhelmed with tourists in some spots, especially if you're coming July, early August. Those Barcelonas, those Romes, the Athens, they can feel a bit overwhelming. And one thing I say is like, if you can go in September, you can go in May, you don't have those problems. And another thing is I think the image of the people in Barcelona shooting the water guns at the tourists, that is a fantastic image. That sells magazines, that gets clicks. But in reality, the people like when they were shooting people with water guns, I took a group of 25 students to Barcelona. We stayed there for like 10 days. Nobody had any issues. Nobody messed. We were going out to the locals and the local festivals, hanging out with the locals. Everybody was really cool. And so the idea that everybody hates the tourists isn't true. Okay. But I will say where a lot of the over tourism issues is about housing. And where you like Barcelona, the big thing is housing, because so many of these houses became Airbnbs for tourists that locals didn't have a place to live. And that's not just in Barcelona, that's a lot of places. Like it's a big issue. And so it's easier to blame tourists than to blame whoever you voted that didn't put the rules in to protect the people. So that's one of those things that people don't really talk about. But I want to say, like, you can still go visit all these places. Yeah, it's just you're going to have a lot of time. A lot more prep is going to go into it in terms of time. Tickets are going to be your friend. Pre-booking your trains and your planes and all these things will make your life so much easier. So you can still go out and see them. And I'll tell you, like, we spent a month. We went from Poland to Albania, and absolutely zero places we went anywhere between Poland and Albania would ever be considered overrun, over-touristed, full. So that's one of those things. Like, it depends where you're going to go, because we were in Greece a couple years ago, and when everything was packed, Greece is packed in Athens, Mykonos, and Santorini, because that's where the influencers go. Mykonos, you go to Athens for the Acropolis picture, you go to Mykonos for the sunrise, and you go to Santorini for the sunset, and then they don't go other places. Like we were in Crete when everyone's like over tourism, and I was in Crete. We had friends that ran apartments there, holiday apartments, and they're like, we're thinking about closing up a month early because no one's coming to Crete. They're all going to those 3 spots. And that's one of those things is you can have a great time. Like, yes, go and see Paris. Paris can handle it. But when you're going, maybe then go to the Loire Valley or go to like Normandy or someplace else. Like, go and explore a bit more of the country if you want to get away from it, if you're worried about those things. Because like Athens is great, but go to Nafplio, the old capital of Greece. It's fantastic. And the tourists disappeared from there. So there's things you can do. So it's one of those, like, people, like, the bad news always gets clicks. And so people are going to hype that up. And it's not, I mean, there are issues, I will say, like the Airbnb thing, that is an issue, and the housing issues, that is an issue. But if you're a tourist going to Europe, I mean, you can avoid pretty much all those kind of things. Now, you want to avoid having a lot of tourists around because it's a famous site, but it's stuff you can mitigate.
I know that when we were in Rome, that was just packed to the gills, and there were so many these panhandlers and stuff that were out trying to sell you a bottle of water or an umbrella. And I'm a bigger guy, so they're not going to really try to influence me. But I could see where if you were potentially a woman or a smaller person or something, some of these people can get a little bit rough and pushy, and and that's, I guess that's how they make their money. A lot of them, I don't really go for that, but whatever. If you want to buy a bottle of water, whatever. But one of the things that I've learned from traveling and that you've spoken a lot about is potential scams in these overpopulated areas. And I really like to delve into that, because I know you've got a lot of stories. I've got a lot of stories about people that have been scammed. And I'm not trying to focus on a negative. These are just things to watch when you go to a different culture. Sometimes people hide things behind cultures, and sometimes it's just a scam. Like what do you see out there?
So I always like to do the scam videos and tourist trap videos, like put it together so people have like a safety video, because most of the time you're not going to deal with too many scams. You're not, there are pickpockets, but they're not going after everybody. But like, it's good to be prepared. And so with some of the scam stuff, I always say the biggest thing you can do is just be prepared beforehand. Like, don't walk around not knowing where you're going. Don't walk around where you're not supposed to be. And believe me, no matter where you go in the world, if you talk to your person at the front desk, hey, I'm thinking about going to this part of town, they'll let you know if you should go during the day or during the night. I mean, this is whether you're in South America, Asia, Europe, the US. That's one of those things. But the scams kind of thing, one of the big things I would say is anything that's too good to be true is. Okay, there's no such thing as a free lunch. Like, there's that panhandlers will be like, oh, a free bracelet. Here, have a bracelet for my friend. And they'll tie it on you, and they love to tie it on kids. And you got to be like, no. And they're like, once they tie it on, oh, I need a donation. And then they'll yell. And the thing is, they know that people will pay them to go away. And so they'll call you the worst things out there. They'll yell the worst things at you, just to get you to give them money to go away. And you guys be like, no, and you just walk away. And that's the thing, is some people don't know that. And like, if you prepare, that's why I have videos for like all the countries, even though most of the scams and most of these things are pretty common throughout Europe, I still do it for each country or bigger cities, because people only look at that one spot, right? It's like, hey, be aware of this, because if you don't know, you're like, oh, my little kid's up there. Oh, she gave my kid a flower and tied it. That's so sweet of them. And then they're asking for 20 euros, and you're not doing it. And they're yelling at you, and you're like, oh, my kid, I'm worried. And people get really freaked out by that. That's why I always say, it's like, look, just say no, thank you, and walk on, keep walking. Like, that's the biggest thing. No, thank you, just keep walking. Because it's, but my friend, where are you from? Or it's like when you're in a big city, if you're here in the U.S., some say, hey, where are you from? You don't even look. You just keep walking.
Yeah, I had one person when I was in Rome walk up to me, and I wasn't wearing anything that said I was from the United States or anything. Maybe it's just the way I dressed. And he walked up, he goes, nice beard, my fellow American. But he didn't have an American accent. He was from
yeah. Well, that's the thing, and that's one of the things. It's like any kind of sales technique. Find the connection. If I can find a connection to something it's kind of like if you go to Las Vegas, it's amazing. The bartender will always know your hometown, and they'll know somebody from your hometown, but they don't. They just play off of you to get you to feel like, oh, you know my hometown. Of course, instead of getting a $5 tip, I'll give you a $10 tip. It's the same kind of thing. And that's one of those things.
That's pretty interesting, because I've worked in sales, and that is the number one tactic, association. When somebody will say something about a town or something, if you find something relatable, it makes somebody feel that you're one of them.
Yep, and it works, That's why they do it. And I think also with the scam kind of things, like being aware of some of the things, because like I'll see people fall for the 3-card Monte, the little card game thing.
Yeah,
everywhere in the world, I'm like, you never win, but that kid won. I'm like, look, you let the kid win, because then people see a kid wins. And the kid might be working with him, or it might be a tourist kid. We're going to let some people win occasionally, so then the big fish come, and instead of putting €5 down, they're putting €50 down. Like, I mean, I've bumped into so many tourists that were like walking around like, oh, I just lost €50. I'm like, why did you put €50 down? Well, I'd won 5, and then I went because I knew what he was doing, and so I put a 50, and then I lost that one. I'm like, of course you did. Like, that was part of his plan. Like, let you win 5, and then you're going to bet again, and then you're going to lose 50. And that's just sometimes it cracks me up when I see it. I'm like, don't do it. I'll walk by. Like, Paris is really big. You're going like in Montmartre and stuff, because now it's super touristy there, and you'll just see them playing the game. I'm like, don't do it. Don't do it. I know what I'm doing. I'm like, you're going to lose. And then I'll see them later walking around like, I lost. I'm like, yeah. You're always going to lose.
So what would you say, like, if I was, and I don't like to lump everybody in together, but if you were to go to a certain area, what areas in Europe or even just around the world that you've been to do you have to watch for the scams the most?
So I would say Western Europe, big city Western Europe, like big tourist city Western Europe. That's way more. Like we went from Poland to Albania, stopping at all the countries in between. I mean, we never worried once. I did not have to like have my hand on my front pocket at all, ever. Like people are like, you're going to Albania? Oh no, I'm like, no. Albania was fine. Like I wasn't worried 1 second in Albania. But when I was in Paris, I'm walking around with my hand on my wallet. Because the thing is, there's so many more tourists that are going there, and since it's more expensive, and usually you have people that their first time traveling, they're going to go to the Paris, they're going to go to the Londons, Barcelonas, and so therefore not as experienced, so just easier targets. It's like anyways, like you're gonna go for the easy targets first. That's why I always tell people, like I did a video on like the worst places to keep your phone in Paris.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and one is like, on top, like people are like, oh, I'm having lunch, I'm gonna take pictures of my food, and they leave their phone on the top of the table. If people just walk by and steal phones all the time, or they come by, you don't even realize until your phone's gone. Like you have your phone's here, somebody's, oh, it's right in front of me, you don't notice. Because most of the time you put your food here in the middle and then your phone's off to the side, your frog legs, and then they just walk by and grab it. And that's people don't realize. So other ones, I mean, I've seen people, especially younger people, like, oh, they'll put their phone in their back pocket and it's sticking out like 2 inches. I'm like, I could steal that phone like that. And you're like, and I'll take students abroad. And I'm like, don't do that. And they'll do that and their phone will disappear. And then another one I'll see is the outside pockets of backpacks or those flap over purses. You want to have someone that actually see us because they'll just flop it over. I mean, I've literally been on the metro, the metro in Lisbon, and a dude we're on the escalator, packed escalator. This dude's hand is in the girl next to me's bag, pulling out her phone. And I look over at him, and he puts it back in, zips it back up, then he jumps off the escalator and runs. Like, this is all within, like, hey, he's like, should he jump? I mean, it was, like, really quick. But it was one of those things, like, you don't, and the lady didn't even know. I'm like, hey, just FYI, that guy tried to steal your phone. Like, you can't leave things in easy spots. Even if you think, oh, I'm from a big city. I know. No, these people are professionals. Like, they know what they're doing. Like, if they want to get your stuff, they're going to get your stuff.
And it's in every big city too. So I don't want people just to think like, it's in Paris or Berlin or something like, because you can go to New York and go to Baltimore, you go to Los Angeles if you're from the United States, Chicago.
Go to Bangkok.
Yeah. It's all over. It's all over. So, but have you ever been a victim of a scam traveling abroad?
So, well, I would say the only time I personally have ever had anything stolen while I was traveling, I've had an umbrella stolen once, but I was in Brazil and it was at a hostel and we had a party the night before. So I might have left it somewhere. But the only time, knock on wood, that like the family's been robbed. Jocelyn was shopping in Vicenza, Italy. This isn't a big city. This isn't a popular city. This is like a normal everyday city. And Liam, our 14-year-old was a baby at the time. So she's got Liam in the stroller with the diaper bag attached to the stroller. She's my friend. Our friend is shopping with her, and she's with her baby too. So there's two strollers next to each other, and my friend is watching her, looking at her baby, while Jocelyn's changing clothes. While she's in there, a lady came and stole the wallet out of the diaper bag that the baby was literally in the carriage. So they robbed it with them right next to it. I'm like, and it was funny because like she's like, you're not going to believe it. I'm like, dude, these people are good. You can't, And we went to talk to the people, the cops in Italy. They're like, hey, look at the garbage cans nearby, because usually what happens, they're only looking for cash because cards, they're going to get caught. They can prove it's them. So they'll take out the cash and throw the wallet away. And so we've had that with our students before. One of them got pickpocketed in Barcelona. I'm like, hey, just walk. I'm like, walk back. And there it was, like 2 garbage cans back. It was just laying right there. They took the cash out, threw it away.
Yeah, we fell for a travel scam as we booked a VRBO in London. And we got in one of the black cabs, which are very expensive. We didn't know that at the time. We go into the Airbnb or VRBO or whatever it was, and it was a professional building. And the lady at the front desk said, no, this is an office building. And we called VRBO, and the person had taken down the listing when we had landed. They had got the money, and we got VRBO to refund us, and we got a new place to stay. But we had to wait 3 hours. So we're walking around London with our luggage. Finally meet the guy. We go to get in an elevator and we get trapped on the 3rd floor in the elevator. Had to call the fire brigade to open the elevator to pull us out. That was my first experience to Europe.
Lovely. You're like, I am never going back. No, and I'll tell you, And you went back again, which is great because I've had people that have some not quite as bad as experience as you, but something like that. They're like, I'm never traveling there again. Like I'll never leave the U.S. So I'm glad you're okay. But no, that is one of those things. Like we had one, and sometimes it's not the scammer. Sometimes it's other things. Like we had one. It was a VRBO, and we had it booked for Montenegro, and I got an email from the guy like 4 or 5 weeks out. He's like, hey, I don't know if you got my last email, but we aren't listed on there anymore. But I'm getting emails from that says you're coming. We don't have that listed. We try to take it off VRBO. They've taken us up, but it's not rentable. Like, and so I have all these emails. I'm dealing with VRBO. I'm like, hey, look, this guy is saying, it's like, well, you can cancel and then we'll keep half your money. I'm like, no, you listed a property that doesn't exist. And I mean, literally, it took them like 4 weeks to get it. So like I would get my money back. And I just got a review from the owner of that VRBO. I got it because they're like, oh, and you've been reviewed by them. And the guy's like, there's no stars or anything. It's just like, yeah, didn't actually rent this. The guy was just saying, VRBO, this is not a rental property. And that was the review. It was on me, and I'm like, come on, VRBO, you can do better than that. And it was funny because, I mean, it took weeks. And I'm like, hey, I'm not, they're like, we're taking your money. I'm like, but you listed something that isn't a property. And the guy's like, look, and the guy had all this stuff. He's like, give them my phone number, give them this. And the owner was very nice. He's like, dude, we don't have this anymore. He's like, we don't rent this. I think his mom moved in or something like that, So it was like a legit thing. And the guy's like, and it still took so long to get our money back because we were still getting the things from VRBO. Oh, here's your receipt. I'm like, receipt? No, you cancel this. So it's nuts.
So, and you're really big in the travel space too. So, people around the world, I imagine you go places and people say, hey, you're from Wolters World. And they'll probably call you Walters because
they always call me. It's always Walter. Even though everybody would start, hey there, fellow travelers, Mark here with Wolters World.
So and you would think a lot of people recognizing you and stuff like that, would help you along in certain aspects of your travel, especially with people throwing you tips and stuff. Hey, hey, try our town in Italy or try our place in Switzerland or stuff. You get a lot of that.
Yes, there's one guy from Brescia, Italy, who literally sends me stuff every day about Brescia. He's like, you have to come. Here's another thing. Here's another thing. Here's another thing. I'm like, okay, man. Okay. So we will get people that write. What's cool is like when people write us, I'm like, hey, you know what? Every place is on the table. Like we go pretty much anywhere. Like I have rules, like no war zones and anything like that. But like, it's like, and I'll ask like, hey, what should I know? What do you want to make sure that people know about your town? And I'll keep the notes that everybody sends me. So I have it. So whenever I do go there, like I have a collection of notes, like it's on this phone for Egypt. We're going there, I think, next year. But I've got notes for the last couple of years. Oh, you're going to go. Here's some stuff. And so it's from different people. And so I'll take that and kind of keep it together. So when it's time to get ready for that trip, I have their notes. So, this is what some of the locals were talking about. Some other people have been there. So it has to give more of a background because now a lot of the stuff is just like spits. Like if you search stuff on Google, it just spits out the AI synopsis. You're like, that is not it because those synopses, for the basic stuff, they're like 70% right. For like in-depth things, they're like 30% right. You're like, your culture stuff's a little off. So,
so you travel with your family, and my children are grown up, so it's basically Shayna and I that do the traveling. We don't have any little children. A lot cheaper, yes. And you can do it, and to some extent, you can do more with certain things. Oh yeah. But like, I notice on your channel, you give a lot of travel tips. One of the videos that stands out in my mind that I always enjoyed, and it's actually not even a European video or anywhere else. It was in Baltimore when you did your Baltimore video, and I grew up outside of Philadelphia, so Baltimore was a stone's throw away.
Close.
And all the stuff that you talked about in the Baltimore video, but you talk about family stuff and things to do. Like, tell me a little bit about that.
So whenever we do the videos, it's kind of like you see like the progression. Like when the kids were really little, I had ideas for little kids. And now as I make it a point now to like, hey, let's make sure we got stuff for everybody that's going to go there. So, because like a lot of people will take their families. And like there's a lot of people though that'll be like, oh, we have kids. I might as well burn my passport because we're never going to travel again. I'm like, please. Like my youngest, he learned to walk in Paris. I mean, come on. Like, that's cool. Like you want to have those kind of experiences. but I wanted to make sure that people felt comfortable with traveling with their kids. That's why you'll see the kids wandering around in a lot of our videos from the little to bigger. You'll say, look, you can go to Rwanda with your kids. You can go to South America with your kids. You know, like before the Olympics in Brazil, the World Cup in Brazil, everyone's like, oh, Brazil, you're going to die when you go there. That's so bad. I'm like, no, Brazil's fantastic. And there's issues, yes, but here's how you can travel safe. And so we really kind of factored those things in. And honestly, when we're traveling around, I got to make sure we have stuff for the kids as well, because kids don't really do well with like 4 museums in one day. No. So it's like, it helps it to like plan it out and have some other fun stuff. And as our kids got older, we let them pick destinations. We have them pick restaurants. Like my son Caleb is really good at picking out restaurants when we go travel. Liam is good at finding like little fun things to do. Like, oh, hey, I found this like cooking class where we make macarons in Paris. I'm like, oh, that'd be cool. So like they've really kind of become part of it. So it's been more fun. And then therefore they have more buy-in. And I think another thing is like when you're traveling with kids, especially like tweens and teens, was, you know, that's an awkward age kind of thing. Activities are always good. That's why like I always recommend like Latin America, Caribbean, Latin America for teens and tweens is really good because it's a lot of outdoor stuff. So they're doing things as opposed to the museum, church, cathedral, you know, European
the stuff they don't like, the boring stuff they think it
exactly
is. It's not cool, Dad.
exactly
So if you had to say like to somebody with children, and I
travel, take them.
Okay, great.
Before you get too far, I don't want to change. I want to make sure that answer gets out there. Take your kids. I know it's not always affordable, but if you can, it's a great experience. Because here's one of those things, like you have memories about those trips, and some people say, well, the kids won't remember, but you remember. Like my littlest, he doesn't remember learning to walk in Paris or in Pisa, but I remember, and we remember, and it's one of those really great family things. And like we've traveled with the grandparents a lot too. So like my parents, like they go see my parents, they visit them. My youngest, he's with grandma and grandpa right now, and I'm sure they're reminiscing on some of their trips going to Europe and Africa and stuff together in South America. So Asia, they've been Asia together. So it's like, you know, you have those memories, and it gives you something else to talk about, which is kind of a fun thing, and it gives you just more family experiences.
So if I'm a father or a mother listening to this show, and I say I have children that are say under 10, and then I have another set of children that say that's over 10, you know, between 10 and 16, 17. What would you say would be, in your experience, are the best countries for those age groups to get out and experience and do some cool stuff?
For having littles and bigs, let's
yes.
say like if you have both of them, Costa Rica is really good for that, because they have stuff that little people can enjoy, but also teenagers can enjoy. So that's nice. I find that big city Europe, the Londons, Paris, Rome's, they have stuff for both. And what's cool is there's so many things online now, like taking your teenager to Rome. There's books on that. Taking your little kids to Rome. Like there's really so much more stuff than there was even when our kids were younger 5 years ago, 10 years ago, that they can be very helpful. I mean, even like something like Lonely Planet has like book series on these things. That can be really helpful. But I would say like the big city, Europe is good. Costa Rica is good. Let's see. Yeah. There'll be some I'd kind of recommend off the top of my head, like Italy, France, England, Costa Rica. Those ones are pretty good. I have a list somewhere of my favorite family-friendly destinations. So I'm drawing a blank.
The draw blank. It's all right.
We just filmed a video. We were in was it Kosovo or Bosnia, and we filmed a video on like the best places to take your kids. And I'm like, I can see the piece of paper in front of me for my script. Like,
it's really interesting that you mentioned Kosovo and Bosnia, because obviously you and I are pretty close to the same age.
29.
Back in the 90s, that was a deadly war zone, Bosnia and Kosovo. Yeah. And but today people are taking vacations there, and the same with Vietnam. Like, people are going to Vietnam, but for me to try to take my father to Vietnam, who was there during the war, he won't go on a trip there. But a lot of times in these videos, when you're talking about these places, you're talking about how to be a courteous traveler. Yeah. And there might still be some, I don't want to say resentment towards Americans, or if you're from the UK or from France or wherever, and you go to these countries, and you have to be a little bit courteous, a little bit understanding. And tell me a little bit about that. Like, what do you see as a courteous traveler, and should a person research where they're going first and what they're doing?
Yeah, no, I mean, here's one thing. It's like some people will go like, oh, they're going to be mean to you because you're an American. No, no one's mean to you because you're an American. They're mean to you because you're a jerk. If you're a
Right.
courteous traveler, people are going to be happy because they're like, hey, you're here to enjoy my country. You're helping to help my economy. Welcome, right? And so some of the things I always say, if you want to be a courteous traveler, one, you're not being loud. You're not that traveler that stops in the middle of the sidewalk to take the pictures, or the ones that are really bad now, the ones that'll walk out in the middle of the street because they want to get the Arc de Triomphe in the middle, like so it looks like that one person did on Instagram. I want to do it too. I'm like, you're gonna get killed. And then all the locals are like, stupid tourists, what are you doing? Putting yourself in those situations, especially tour groups that'll block sidewalks, just common courtesy stuff that you think like that would be nice anyway, goes a long way. But there's some things you can do. Like one thing I'd recommend, instead of going to chain restaurants and chain stores, go to those boutique stores. Because one thing I'll tell you, you go to a boutique, and boutiques aren't fancy stores. Boutiques are just local shops. You go there, the locals, they'll talk to you. Like my wife, she goes and buys her dresses at local shops when we travel because she gets to meet the people. They talk about what it's like there, and you get to have much more of an impact because you're like, wait, I'm learning about the culture. I'm learning, but also I'm helping them about this local shop, and that's really good. Also, mom and pop restaurants, like those kind of places, that's one where you're getting really local food, having those things. And when you meet locals, you're like, oh, yeah, I went to Maria Jose's. I don't know what the restaurant's called. Maria Jose was the cook. And they're like, oh, Maria Jose. Oh, yeah, she's awesome. And that, people will respect you for that. I mean, I'll tell you, knowing the local food to have in a destination, you eat that. Like, oh, I had this, and this when I was here. Like, oh, you got the real deal. Okay. All right. Oh, yeah, meet you when you're in Romania. All right. Respect, that's just it. Like little things like that. People are like, oh, you knew in Normandy, it's quiche Lorraine because that's where it's really from. It really is the best. Yes, it is. Things like that, like showing that you did your research, so you know something about their culture, their food, goes a long way. And I mean, we've never had any problem. Literally, I have a video I talk about the 2 times I've ever been attacked or anything because I was American, and both times the people that were attacking me were super drunk. So I don't think they were attacking because I was American. They were just super drunk.
They were just drunk.
Yeah, they were just drunk.
So, but here is my favorite thing that you do on your channel is when you talk about food and you touch base about food. And I'm a foodie. I know I see some of these foods that you put on your videos. I'm like, I want to jump thui the screen and just take a bite of that sandwich or whatever.
Oh yeah.
And I see this.
There's a reason why I can't get rid of it.
Oh, I'm with you. I'm with you. But I see some of this stuff like you're having Christmas food in Germany or France, and I mean, I don't even know where to start. Some of this stuff you have is great, but like what Christmas food. Let's talk Christmas food because that's the season of giving, and we give ourselves a little bit more.
A little more room, extra belt holder too.
Extra holder too. Tell me a little bit about where's the best Christmas food in Europe? What do you like?
So when it comes, here's what's interesting. Like in the U.S., if you go to Hobby Lobby in July, they already got Christmas stuff. Europe, it doesn't work that way. Europe, the Christmas stuff doesn't come out until Christmas season, until that first weekend of Advent. The Christmas markets are a few places, but in general, Germany is the best. Germany's fantastic. Austria, those are 2 best places I think at Christmas for Christmas markets and that kind of stuff. They do Christmas markets all over now. Belfast is a fantastic Christmas market too. But Germany, Austria, the 2 ones I like the best for Christmas time. But literally they start Thursday night or Friday, the first Friday of Advent, that first weekend. So a lot of people think, oh, I'll go for Thanksgiving break. So I have that whole week of Christmas markets. You're like, no. The first weekend of Advent is the weekend after Thanksgiving usually, so it won't start until then. So I'm like, do your normal tourism stuff first, and that last weekend you have after Thanksgiving, then go and explore those things. But for me, I love going to the German Christmas markets because sometimes it's really simple stuff, like getting a half-meter bratwurst. You can't beat that. The gingerbread's good. But what you'll see is there's a lot of fried sweet treats. And sometimes donuts, and sometimes there's other things like Dampfnuss, so a wet dumpling. And you'll see this in Austria, Munich. Imagine a big bread dumpling, those who are listening to this, it's twice the size of a grapefruit. Okay.
Wow.
But they put all this vanilla sauce on top of it. When you go into it with a spoon, there's a ball of jam in the middle that's been warmed up and it just leaks out. Oh my god.
Oh.
So good. So we go Christmas markets quite a lot. My parents got a little bit older now, so we don't go as often at Christmas time. But we used to go literally every year. We would go to Europe for Christmas markets, and we would go, and it was a given that lunch we eat at the Christmas market. we didn't even think about going out to dinner because we know we're going to eat when we're there. We'd have that. So we'd have our Christmas market lunch kind of stuff, and then it picks up later because then we have go for some hot wine. Then our Christmas market dessert is afterwards.
Oh my God. I mean, like where do you think the best Christmas market is? I mean, I know you threw some countries out, but like what city, what location really resonates with you?
So there's some that are famous for it. Like if you go to Colmar and Strasbourg in France, those are both super famous for it, but they're so full that it's hard to enjoy sometimes. So where I actually go, where we like to go, there's two places. One, we go to the Harz Mountains, and there's a few cities like Goslar, but for me, it's like Wernigerode and Quedlinburg, which are like the Harz Mountains, a couple hours from Berlin. And it's weird because this is like where the wall, like not the wall, but where like West Germany, East Germany was. So Goslar's in West Germany, and Wernigerode and Quedlinburg were in East Germany. So there was never a lot of like the fast train lines developed through there, right? So you have to go there. And so since it's not the fast train, not a lot of people go there. It's all German tourists that go, and they do it up so nice. And these are like these like half timbered houses everywhere, towns. Like it's just awesome. Like that's the Harz Mountains is one. Two, we go to Bamberg a lot. It's one of my favorite cities. In Bamberg, like they have like their new Christmas market, which is like the food and the snacks and stuff. But on the weekends, they'll have like the medieval Christmas market up on the hill, like in the like by the cathedral and everything. And you go there, and it's like it's like going to the like Renaissance fair, but a Christmas version of it. Like that's really cool. So I like going to that. And Bamberg also, it gets a lot of German tourists, but not necessarily a lot of international tourists. So you really get a chance to meet the locals. Like that's one of the like Germany is sometimes hard to meet. But the Christmas markets, they're all out. They're outside. They want to talk. They want to drink. They want to meet. And so it's a good way to meet them. So it's like it just makes such a fun time.
Yeah. It's well, being originally from Pennsylvania, we have a very big German influence there. I mean, my last name is German, and my dad's great grandfather came over from, it wasn't Germany then, it was Prussia or something, I think it was called at the time, but it's very big German influence. And it's interesting because like we would go to some place that has a German influence, but we put our Pennsylvania spin on it, and the people from Germany or Austria kind of look at us like, what?
It's like you're almost there. Almost there.
You're the diet
I like
Coke.
to think it's like when I go eat American food abroad or Mexican food abroad, I'm like, you had the spirit, but it didn't quite have the taste. But I appreciate the spirit.
What do they say? Like the Diet Coke of German, 1% not enough.
Yeah. You're almost there. So yeah, it is pretty funny to see. And what's fun is like we'll go and try different foods, especially if we stay someplace for a long time. Like we were in the Balkans for about a month, and the food's very similar when we're going around. And you're like, eventually you're like, okay, I got to try something else. And so you'll like have Italian or you'll have Spanish, you'll have something. You're like, oh yeah. And it's funny because you'll go like, this person, they train in Italy. Like you can tell. And then you're like, I don't think they know where Spain is on a map.
Well, I'll tell you.
It's funny because we were in St. Louis and there was a tapas place, and I was like walking. I was like, tapas, that'd be kind of cool. Like they had soccer on. I'm like, oh, cool. Like Real Madrid's playing. This is cool. So I get up and go. I'm like, they have patatas bravas. They have coquetas. They have all these things. I'm like, great. And it comes out. I'm like, it was like the kid at Christmas that wanted a transformer and got like socks. I was like, oh man. They're like, oh yeah, no, he's been there. I'm like, he's been there. He didn't eat there, but he went there. Okay.
But you've also been around the United States as well. And I watch a lot of your stuff because our channel, we drove across the United States from Florida to California and back. And boy, that was an interesting adventure. It's crazy. But like, what do you, as far as American food, what's your go-to? What's your go-to? What do you really love?
Bar cheeseburger. Like you go to a bar and you just get a cheeseburger and fries. I'm like, that's when you know it's good. Like if you just get a cheeseburger, like, dude, this is a good cheeseburger, you're good to go. Like number two would be a fried pork tenderloin, like sandwich. Like, and I go Midwest style when it's like the size of the screen. It's like you have the tray it comes on, and then it like is over the other side.
Like the Flintstones?
Yes, literally. Like they give you a bun this size, but the meat is like this. Like that's. I had a couple of those this weekend visiting my parents. Oh yeah, like that. The cheeseburger, like a good cheeseburger and fries. But like, so I lived abroad for about 14, 15 years. But whenever I'd come back home, I'd always want to get a steak because steak is very different wherever you go in the world, depending on how they cut the cuts they have, how they feed it and everything. So I remember when I lived in Lithuania and Germany for a long time, when I come back home, First, like they pick me up at the airport. We drive back and we get home like 9, 10 o'clock at night. And I'm like firing up the grill. Because I'm like, no, I want a ribeye, baby. I want to, like, because they have like a New York strip. No, I want a ribeye. I want that. I want that marbling. And so that was the first thing I would have. I'd have that, boom, like good old ribeye steak. That was my like fancy thing when I come back after I lived abroad.
So sometimes you find that the biggest holes in the wall in the most obscure part of the country make the best burgers or cheesesteaks or what.
That is not just in the U.S. This is what we actually did a video. We were in Paris a week ago, like 10 days ago, and I was doing like unwritten rules of Paris, and I'm like, the level, like what it looks like inside, does not translate to necessarily how good it is in terms of food. And we're going through like finding those holes in wall places, like you're gonna do pretty good. That stuff's everywhere. Like we lived in Brazil. I lived in Brazil. Family lived there. I lived in Brazil, and we go into these like little hole in the wall, like literally, it's a hole in a wall. Like walk through, and they got some plastic seats there. Best barbecue ever. Just like incredible stuff. You like that's the thing. It's like don't be put off. Just if people like if the locals like, dude, you got to eat here. Like for me, I gotta go. Like I have no choice. I'm going there. I had a buddy, one of my buddies from Krakow, and we were there for a few days. And so we had like 4 or 5 days of Polish food. So we were there, and I had to film all these Polish food videos. So like we're getting towards the end, and I'm like, I can't do any more pierogi. I can't do any more cutlet. I got. And so I wrote my buddy, I'm like, hey man, where should we eat when we're here? Because I know you're from here. Your parents literally live around the corner. Like he's like, actually, I like going to the pizzeria. He's like, so he tells me his favorite pizza. So that pizza was great. I'm like, oh, thank God. So sometimes you're like, you find good stuff in crazy places.
So I know this might ruffle a few feathers with some of your followers, but where has the best pastries in the world? The best pastries.
Oh, so like default, the lowest, like the highest floor, like no matter what, it's gonna be good. Like France, any pastry you get is gonna be good. Like no matter what you get, it's gonna be fantastic. However, there's a reason why we call them Danishes, and everybody loves Danishes. The Danes really do a fantastic job with pastries as well. But I will say the best cinnamon bun or cinnamon roll, whichever way you want to go, is in Finland. Finland has the best cinnamon rolls because they have these huge sugar crystals they'll put on top, and instead of rolling it like this way, it's rolled this way. So I think it's more of a bun. But oh my god, so good.
We have a really good.
Now you get me hungry, man. You're killing me.
I know. When I was waiting to talk food with you for the show here, I mean, because that's like one of the big draws that I watch. I watch you for the food. It's like I gotta try.
Well, also for those watching, we have Wolters World Eats, which is a channel that is just dedicated to food around the world.
So there you go. Go to subscribe to that. Matter of fact, real quick, where can people find you at online if they've never heard? I mean, it's impossible not to have heard of you, but if they didn't,
so you can find us on YouTube. So we have our main channel, Wolters World, WOLTERS World. Just put in like the Don'ts of Germany, you'll see my bald head. It'll pop up there. But like so, Wolters World on YouTube, Wolters World Eats, which is another channel which we focus on our food. We have that. If you want to go to our website, you have woltersworld.com. If you go on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, anything at Wolters World, that's going to be our main thing there. So just put in whatever social media account it is, like the / then Wolters World will pop up.
Oh, cool. So now you don't always spend most of your time in Europe. You also go to Latin America?
Yeah, and the funny thing is people get really mad at me. Like, you only go to Europe. I'm like, we actually have like 500 videos on Latin America. So I lived in Argentina and I lived in Brazil, and like I love Latin America. Like we go a couple times a year, and I always try to make videos. And it's always sad because I know when I'm going to go to South America and Central America, the videos are not going to get the views like France or England or Italy or Germany, but it's like, I don't care. I want the people that are going to go down there to have that same amount of information. So we'll go down there, and I'm always like, hey, so if you're going to go to, Uruguay, you're going to go to Chile, you're going to go to Peru, we've got stuff to help out people out there. So it's like, so we spend a lot of time down there to try to visit and show it off because there's so many fewer like influencers that go down there because, you don't have the I can get this great picture kind of thing. It's more, it's going to be rough and tumble stuff. So
right. So Latin America, I mean, you've talked about Brazil, you've talked about Argentina and stuff. Like what's one of your favorite spots down there?
So I will say Granada, Nicaragua. Okay. So Granada, Nicaragua was it's on Lake Nicaragua, so you can go and take boats in these little isletas, these little tiny islands, and go and have fun there. But Granada, basically, the Spaniards wanted to like be a show-off city. So it's like a truly Spanish colonial city. So they has like the grid system, the beautiful buildings. So you have all these things, beautiful cathedral, a very affordable place to visit. People are super nice too. And like, that's one of my places I love to go. Like, I would not go to Managua. I'm not going to Managua. I'm going straight to Granada, Nicaragua. And that's one of my favorite places down there. My wife is like, can we retire here? Like, that's her dream. It's like, if we can like a little isleta in Lake Nicaragua. I'm like, I don't know if we can do that, but we can go visit. That's no problem. So that's one place I really love. Let's see some other places. I really like the Atacama Desert in North Chile. Like, I wouldn't want to live there, but visiting is such a cool thing. And if you're a space person, they have one of those like deep sky kind of things because it's so high elevation, so thin air, and then it's cold and dry. So there's no like molecules in the air, so you can really see a lot. So whereas like imagine like if you go out in the country here in the U.S. and you imagine the best sky you can see, and it's a new moon, nothing there, no clouds in the sky, you can see everything. What you see in like your direct up best version is what is literally just above the horizon there, because it's so clear. So like you look up and you're like, you look up, you're like, wow, like it's just everywhere. It's one of those times you're like, I can only imagine what it was like, thousands of years ago when there wasn't like light pollution. And you just like every night you see like thousands of stars. It's amazing. Like you literally see like the Milky Way, like you understand why they call it. Oh, it looked like spilled milk. Like that's cool.
That's something you have to kind of see in person. I mean, even if you see it on Instagram or something, that's not actually living the experience of visual.
Well, and what's crazy is like, so with the boys, we were in Chile a lot. Not summer 24. We were in Chile at Atacama, and I'm like, hey guys, come on. And it was a clear night. I'm like, we're just walking down the street. We're walking down the street. Look up. They're like, oh my god. I'm like, now do this. Like, put your like block off this street light over here, and then like you can see them when their eyes would adjust. And like, and you can see so much more. It was pretty funny. I'm like, yeah. Now imagine you look this direction, and we have no light bothering you. So
the question I got to ask: Latin food, European food. Which is your favorite?
I would probably go with European food over it, but I'm not going to be upset if I get stuck with Latin food forever. It's like I'm like, oh darn.
I missed the boat on that.
No, for me, there's certain things like I love Brazilian food because Brazil has so many different immigrants. There's so many different influences there that, and wherever you go around the country, like if you're in the South, it's all about the steaks, the meat. But if you go up to like the Northeast, you got a acarajé, which is like a different, like this. It looks like a baked potato, but it's made out of bean paste. It's like, and then inside they put like vatapá, it's like a cornmeal kind of thing, and then they have like shrimp in it. It's called dende oil. They'll put it on there. It's like it's so good, so good. And then the fruit. I'm sorry, but I will say the fruit in Latin America though, that like the smoothies and everything you get there, you're like, I could be healthy every day here. Like, so good.
So you also mentioned that you have a food channel, but you also have a toy channel. Where we were talking a little bit about this before the show, and I'm really interested because a majority of our demographic are Gen X. So a lot of the toys that you're looking at, reviewing, talking about are from our time growing up.
Oh yeah. No, I'm actually, so it's called Yojo Reviews. So youtube.com/Yojo Reviews. You can go there. We're also on Instagram, but there's a lot of Yojo Reviews on Instagram. We're the only one on YouTube. But basically what I do is like there's newer versions of the toys we had as kids. So sometimes I'll compare those, but then also I'll like, hey, let's look back at, the first year of G.I. Joe, the original 13. Like, let's compare today's versus now kind of stuff. And, what I've seen is it's fun to do. Like, I started the channel in February on Yojo February. It's the 2nd of February. For those that G.I. Joe, that's when it started. But my youngest son and my wife are like, dude, you have your collection. It's something you enjoy doing. Why don't you make a channel about it? Yeah. And I'm like, wait, you want me to make another YouTube channel? They're like, no, but this is like a fun one. And so then it kind of took a life. So I've been doing a lot of stuff with that one. So it's been a fun adventure. It's interesting seeing how different kinds of YouTube channels work. Like, because I have the travel one, and travel one's different than the food one. And then I have I'm a marketing professor, so I have Professor Wolters, which is another one. And that's like the education space is so different. And then the toy space, that's a whole other. I'm like, whoa. So I'm kind of spending the first like year just kind of feeling it out, and then go more into it when it gets a little bit farther in.
So your toys, your GI Joe. I know we talked about that, and He-Man. Do you monkey with Transformers, Thundercats,
I will
Teenage Mutant Ninja
eventually.
Turtles?
So like starting off, I just been doing mostly GI Joe stuff. But I have my bucket. Literally, it's my old play bucket. It was at my parents' house, full of my old He-Man. So I have all the old He-Mans. Like that's the next thing. Like I just want to kind of get like it's basically I'm learning how to do this with GI Joes, and then move into Master of the Universe, Transformer stuff. I actually had my wife order a. They redid the old Optimus Prime.
Yep.
They have it's the same body mold, but they make it that he actually do more than just move his arms like this. And so you can actually have him do the poses and stuff. I'm like, okay. So that's going to be the first Transformer-based video. So when that one comes, we're going to be doing that one.
My favorite Transformer growing up, and you probably heard of them, but most people hadn't. When everybody else wanted to be Optimus Prime or Starscream or something like that, I was Brawn.
Oh, yeah?
Brawn?
Yeah. Brawn. He got done dirty in the movies. They sliced him right in the middle. It's like, poor guy.
He was dead.
He was dead. Like they didn't. Well, he died in the movie, the '86 movie, and then in the Michael Bay movies, he got wiped out there too. Like, dude, give the man some stuff because like he was like the little tough guy. I remember Braun. He was a good one. He was one of the ones when you were a kid. You're like, wow, if only his toy looked as cool as he did on the cartoon.
The toy wasn't cool. The toy wasn't cool. No. It was a step up from a GoBot.
I know. I was just gonna say that. It's like, oh, he's like. We're like, this is too fancy for a GoBot. We're gonna put that
there. So, if you had to tell somebody that was new to the world of travel, new to the world of new experiences, somebody getting out of their shell, what would be your message to the new young person that wants to get out and kick off the dust of the world, or maybe that older person that's retired that finally is in a position where they can travel? What would your message be to them?
I would tell them to travel when you can. Like, find places that are calling to you. Don't necessarily go because, this is Condé Nast top 10 place to see in the world. The top 10 places to see in the world for Condé Nast, it might not be what's important to you. And so what a lot of times when I talk to young people, like I have students that will come like, hey, I'm graduating. I get a month to travel. Where should I go? I'm like, is it anywhere in the world? I usually start with like, what do you like to do? If you're a culture person, you would do museums. Well, then Europe's going to be a good time. If you're an adventure seeker, then more Latin America, Central America is more for you. If you're a party kind of person, maybe you want to go to Southeast Asia. And so like sometimes I kind of start with like, hey, let's talk about what you're really looking to do. Because sometimes like, look, I just want to kind of find myself. Like you want to find yourself. I will say backpacking South America gives yourself a lot of time to really kind of think and reflect, but then you go and you'll see like people that are in abject poverty, but you'll see people doing very well, and you'll get to experience so many things. It really gives you a chance to really kind of reflect on life and the world kind of stuff. So that can be really cool. A lot of times when I talk with older travelers, especially retirees, sometimes like, hey, what are the places you've always wanted to go? Yeah, because everyone, like, even though not everyone has a bucket list, I always think the bucket list is a silly thing, but there are things like I really, really like to go there, or was there a show you really liked, something that was there, or where's your family from? Like for me, I remember the first time I went to Germany, and I'm looking around, I'm like, this looks like my hometown. And then I did the research, like, oh yeah, because my hometown had a German historic district because all the Germans moved there. So they built all the old buildings look just like they did in Germany. So I'm like, oh, obviously they came from northern Germany. And so it's kind of weird. I saw that. And then I remember going out to dinner with my German girlfriend and her grandparents. And they had Spätzle, the noodles, these noodles they have in Germany. Huh. And it comes out, I'm like, dude, that looks like my grandma's noodles. And I mean, I'm like, it tastes like my grandma's noodles. And then my mind's like, my grandma made German noodles. And then I remember, she's like, yeah, my Oma, because that was grandma in German. Yep. That's what she called her. She's like, my Oma only spoke German. I'm like, oh, and it started to connect the dots. And so there was like, hey, I'm kind of excited to go see these things. I know like my mom right now, she's big into genealogy. And so we go every year, at least once, we'll go someplace where she can see where our family's from. So like we've gone to the Shetland Islands, the north of Scotland, and saw the graves of our families there. And we've gone to the churches our families went to in France and kind of stuff. It's like really kind of cool to go back. So it's kind of like, what are you feeling? Because sometimes you have different things that are going for you. That's why it's really kind of like find someone that's calling to you, because then that first trip's going to be more. It's not just I'm going to London and Paris and Prague because that's where I have to go. It's, yeah, I went to London, but then I went to where my family came from, the Cotswolds, And then I went to see my friend exchange student in Spain that I met when I was in college. Like those kind of things really make it more come to life, so you have a better experience than just doing the tourist kind of thing.
Yeah. So as we get ready to wrap this up, what do we look forward to in the rest of 2025 into 2026 from Wolters World?
So I have new series coming out. I started 2 new series. One, what locals want foreigners to know. I'm trying to work on the title, but basically it's like, this is what the locals want you to know about their country. And it's because I have the what you should know before you go. I also have a new one. It's what I wish I would have known before I went, but this is more, hey, locals would really like you to know this. So it's kind of like, so you don't like the taboos and stuff, because sometimes we'll talk about things that are uncomfortable in that one. Like, hey, these are an issue. You're going to Bosnia, you're the war, and you're Kosovo. You go into Kosovo, you don't understand that's one country that loves America more than America does, because we were there for 4th of July and they're flying the flags and everything because the U.S. was there for them when the war. You go to Serbia, they're not so happy with you, but it's just sorry, but a lot of things out there. Yeah. Oh, but anyway, so there's the new things is the what locals want you to know, but also the unwritten rules. And this is more because there's what locals want you to know, but there's certain things locals say, but then there's like, hey, as a tourist, FYI, you should know this. Like, and sometimes it's like if you're in Germany, the unwritten rule is you got to get off that bus as soon as possible, because people are coming. Germans don't wait for people to get on or off. They just all at the same time, train, bus, taxi, whatever. It's just like, it's insane. But if you don't know that, you're like, oh, we're going to stop at our stop. I'll get my stuff now. Like, no. You're like, oh, my stop is 2 from now. I need to get my stuff now. So the next one, I'm closer to the thing. So when we get to my stop, I can bust out of the door, because you got to be like elbows out to get out sometimes, And so we're trying to give more of those kind of like, hey, it's really to actually help people be better tourists. Because when you know these kind of things, you fit in better and you're not causing a commotion or you're not having troubles or hiccups. It's more like, oh, you fit in with us. You're not a tourist. You're maybe an expat that works here, right? And so because you're following kind of the etiquette of that country or that city. So
that's Mark. It has been amazing having you on the show.
Well, thank you.
You are a phenomenal guest, and if for those people that are listening that haven't found Mark yet, go on to Wolters World, look him up on YouTube and all the social media platforms. He's out there. Check out his videos. You will not be disappointed. They're worth their weight in gold, and he has done wonders for the travel community and the people around the world, just using his knowledge and his profession as an educator. And we want to thank you for being on the show.
Thank you, my friend. I appreciate it. And I wish everybody happy travels. And thanks.
Yep. And if you like what you saw, make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and click that notification bell down below. We're also on Rumble. We're on Spotify. We're on Instagram. We're on LinkedIn. You name the social media platform. All you got to do is look for the Kling Connection. We appreciate your support for everything that we do. And until next time, have fun storming the castle.
Bye.
Yo.